without further ado from me, I'm going to turn it over to Jean Bosco. You told me some wonderful things inside about your leadership development journey and what YALI means going forward. So I hope you could share with your fellows.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. For me as a YALI fellow, I draw back my experience in 2014 when I was making an application for the Mandela Washington Fellowship. So during that time, like I said, there was that was my time before the Young African Leaders Initiative. And there also came another time when I was actually a fellow that I wanted to be. And also after the fellowship, there came a time when I was actually exiting the Mandela Washington Fellowship, where I had to just leave the YALI experience, but outside the Mandela Washington Fellowship campuses or activities. So during the initial time, I was actually motivated by the fact that YALI had a very good mission, which resonated with me very well, which was actually to connect young African leaders in different countries and to share experiences to see how we can move our continent forward. So that was a mission that I also wanted, but it didn't have a platform for me to exercise my right, because I believe as an African, I also have to try my best to contribute in terms of developing our continent. So when I saw this program, I said, let me try my best to see how I can join and learn more, how I can really be a good African citizen. And then there came a time when I became a fellow, getting all the connections that I needed, meeting with people from different countries, meeting with amazing professors. So those are the experiences that you also know, so I don't bother talking about them all. So after that, now that I had that knowledge after the fellowship, I had to go back to the community. That's where now everyone is like looking at you saying, okay, you are a Mandela Washington fellow. How was Washington? How was for my case, that was Chicago. And you know, when you are in Rwanda or any other country of Africa, everyone is like, but how is USA? No one is interested in knowing actually what you are doing there, but they're interested in knowing how is USA. So, but that to me is not a problem, because as you understand, everyone is interested in knowing how USA is. Certainly, they mean that you can also help them to make your country become like USA, because you've been there. So now you are taking back those experiences from the United States back to your country. So that means expectations are very high. So I started to revolutionize my work, trying to orient it more on focusing on helping my community move forward instead of making it more central on my own benefits, but rather benefiting the community, because that's what YALI is all about. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. So that whole experience of bringing the United States back home is something that we Americans love, because we know that we would love to share our culture with you, right? Mickey Jones is a career public affairs officer with the State Department, and she can tell you a lot more about her role and what that means for you going forward.
Okay. Thank you, Denise. Hello, everybody. How are you? I wanted to just start off my information, which I hope is not overwhelming, by telling you a little personal story, because like you, I was the beneficiary of a US government grant program, an exchange that changed my life. And this took place 20 years ago. It was a Fulbright, and when I came home after my time overseas as a Fulbright, I was told in a session much like this one, once a Fulbright, always a Fulbright. And I think a lot of you have that feeling, once a Yali, always a Yali, that you will feel that sense of kinship when you see other people who have been on the program. It doesn't matter what year, it doesn't matter if they're a member of the network or the RLC or a Mandela Washington Fellow like you. You will always feel that sense of, I like how much you call each other brother and sister, because you have brothers and sisters now all over the continent as a result of this program. So what I wanted to do now was to highlight the relationship between the alumni associations in the embassies and you as the Yali Fellows. It's really important, I know we keep saying this, but it is very important for you to stay in touch with us. Email your public affairs officer or your alumni coordinator at the embassy. It's important for us to know what you're doing, how you've used your fellowship as a springboard to further things. It really helps us to hear success stories and to be able to demonstrate in Washington, D.C. and around the United States that this program is successful and has a lot of support, not only on the African continent, but also in the United States. So U.S. embassies, the public affairs sections, and USAID support Mandela Washington Fellow alumni in a number of different ways. We have the regional networks, we have the Yali network that my colleague Cheryl will talk about in a minute, but regional networks that support civic engagement, fostering mentorship, and community service initiatives. Your embassy and your USAID also want you, when you return home, to take part in activities as much as you can. If you get an invitation from the embassy, please seriously consider going, because we like to have young, fresh faces available at our events to hear your ideas, to hear about what you've been doing since you completed the fellowship. I did some touring around, South Africa, Rwanda, and Malawi in October with my friends here. And we worked as a team. We had an alumni and we had a US government official talking to people, recruiting young people who are interested in the program. So I think we did a good, brother and sister act around these countries, talking to people about what the fellowship meant. So you could go on a recruitment tour. Maybe some of you have done that already. One of the public affairs officers, I don't think she's here right now, talked me into going on a radio show with a Yali alumni at 5:30 in the morning to talk about the program. So you can do that as a recruiter. Embassy events, ambassador roundtables. Ambassadors love to have Yali fellows talk about their experiences and, again, what they've been doing since they completed the fellowship. Mentoring, big part of what we'll ask you to do. Small grants competitions. That's something, maybe some of you took part in the small grants competition for transparency and good governance that Bureau of African Affairs was running recently. Every once in a while, a grant opportunity will come up anywhere in the region of $1,000 to $20,000 for you to complete a community service project. Also, if you're not an active part of your alumni association, please do that. It's very important. You can stay in touch with other fellows from other cohorts and from other programs as well. Watch for announcements from the embassy for the Alumni Engagement Innovation Fund.
That's a good one.
I think those came out just recently. Those are up to $25,000. So it's a lot of money to implement public service projects. And we've funded projects on corruption, anti-corruption initiatives, community education projects, women and girls empowerment. So please look for that announcement. It's on the website address. You can find almost everything on alumni.state.gov. And you'll also see the announcement for the innovation program funding. You can also look at past successful projects to get an idea, what sorts of ideas have been funded in the past and what you might want to do. Okay, you get the idea. There's a lot out there, but please pay attention to alumni.state.gov. That's a very good place to go. And those of you who haven't done a lot on the alumni database, please do pay attention to, I'm going to read the website address because I don't trust my memory. Okay, I really don't trust my memory because I can't, I can't find it. I'm going to blame it on jet lag. Let's see. Okay, anyway, you can find, okay, Exchange Alumni. And they also have a Tumblr. Exchangealumni.tumblr.com is a really good place to look for more information. So thank you, and please do stay in touch. I've really enjoyed meeting some of you over the last few days, and I hope to hear more. Thank you.
Thanks, Mickey, and I'm so glad to hear the talk about family, brothers and sisters, because yes, you all are, but you're also part of the Yali family. And the Yali family is structured in 3 parts. Of course, there is the Mandela Washington Fellows program, which is all of you. But next, you're going to hear from our sister, Cheryl Jones, who's going to talk about the second program, the Yali Network. And by far, the greatest number of young people involved in Yali across the continent is through the Yali Network. So Cheryl.
Hi, great. Thank you, and hello, everyone. As Denise said, the Yali Network is the largest by number group of the Young African Leaders Initiative. We're up to just over 480,000 people in the Yali Network. And I think Victor Ochin mentioned that we were the largest youth network on the continent, so we're very proud of that. We have a lot of people who are looking for information, looking to engage, looking to learn, and you guys are one of the best resources for them. As you know, we have lots of resources for Yali Network members. We have the online courses, we do Yali chats, we do expert interviews for blog posts, and some of our best and most or highest number of engagements come from stories about you guys, stories about what you're doing and the practical ways in which you've created businesses, or you run your NGOs, or you create products, how you market products. And those are stories that we want to continue to tell, and we want you to continue to, give them to us. We have a place where you can put in reports or email us reports about what's going on. You can email us at yalinetwork@state.gov. We take a look at those pictures. We love those pictures. We share them internally. We share them with the rest of the network. Of course, the biggest thing we asked for you all to do, and I believe, let me find out how many people came by the booth at the summit last year and got their flash drive and their Yali Learns t-shirt. Okay.
All right.
I think a lot more of you actually did because we did not go home with too many of them. So Yali Learns, as you know, is our initiative to share knowledge with all of those folks who, for whatever reason, can't be fellows, can't get to an RLC, but still want information and knowledge. I can't tell you how important Yali Learns is. Whenever we come over to make a trip over here, we do a Yali Learns event. We get, hundreds of stories every month from network members who have shared a course with some, people in their community. We just released the new course on transparency and good governance, and already we're getting lots of really good reports of people who are engaging and talking about that issue. It's an important one. I believe we actually reached out to a lot of you, and we got stories back from you that are helping to inform the content that we are putting out right now on this subject. So I can't say enough about how important it is for you to please do your Yali Learns events. Please, reach out to your community. You can reach out to us, and we can help you get an audience. We have an email database where we have basic information about all of the network members. We know who has pledged for Africa for Her. We know who has pledged for Yali Goes Green. We know we can find you an audience in a community. We can find those 5-star users who are engaging on a regular basis, who are really hungry for more from you and from the information and the resources that we have. So that's my pitch to you. If you haven't done your Yali Learns event, please start thinking about scheduling that now. There's information on the table just outside this room. And if you want us to help you put together an audience for your Yali Williams event, and by the way, we gave everybody information on the American spaces that are in their communities and in their countries at the summit last year. And I know everybody, I hope, got one of those pieces of paper, but if you didn't, email us and we will put you in contact with the American Spaces, because you guys are invited to actually come to those spaces and do programming and set up programs. So there's information on how to do all of that on the table back there. I brought a few extra flash drives because we've added 3 more courses since you got your flash drives. One on human rights, one on transparency and good governance, and one on renewable energy. So please, by all means, come and get that information. Of course, you can go to the yali.state.gov website. Everything is there as well. All right.
Great. Thanks so much, Cheryl. The teacher in me loves that you've got all that wonderful content there. And as I looked at, I see Fatma here, who's from Lamu, and we have an American Reference Center in Lamu. And I can guarantee she uses that space. So I bet there's a lot of other people in this room who are doing that as well. But Fatma, why don't you wave so Cheryl knows she hears you and she's doing it. So great stuff. All right, great. Thank you so much. And now I'm going to talk about the third leg, if you will, of YALI, and that's the Regional Leadership Center. There are 4 of them, as you probably know, across Africa, in Ghana, in Senegal, South Africa. And David Kamau is our center director here in East Africa, and I'll turn it over to David.
All right, thanks, Denise. First, this feels really special having a lapel mic and sitting on the stage, but that's an aside. Anyway, so the RLC, how many of you have ever been to the center? Let me see how many. Okay, so a couple from USA, and these are some of our alumni actually from the program. So the RLC serves about 90 participants at a time for a 4-week program. Now, the whole intention and the whole purpose of why the RLC exists is really to just, like the MWF, is to raise the level of leadership in Africa. Now, we like to see ourselves, like Denise said, as one YALI family. And so we like to enhance the collaboration between the MWFs, the members of the YALI network, and the members of the RLC. Now, just in terms of numbers, as of next Friday, we'll probably have slightly less than 1,500 alumni who will have graduated from the RLC over the past 2 years. Now, these alumni are organized in 13 country chapters. So that's 13 of the 14 countries that we serve, which means for you, who's part of the YALI family, that's an opportunity for you to connect with another 1,500 young people from the continent, from the region at least. All right, so that's an opportunity for you. You can connect with that. And I believe Uganda, I think it's already working really well between the MWFs and the YALI RLC alumni. The other thing that stands out for us from the RLC is in terms of the curriculum and how it's experiential and some of the practical things that we do. And it's another opportunity for you to plug in and to support. Each of the participants are put in small groups, and all of them participate in a design challenge, as we call them. And these design challenges are sponsored by real organizations. Now, all of you here are running initiatives of some sort. You're all working out there to transform some sector of your country. And if you like, you could always come back to us and say, you know what, David, this is a challenge that my initiative, that my organization is dealing with. Could the RLC participants focus on this over the 4 weeks and generate solutions for me? That's another opportunity for you. The other opportunity that exists is, because our participants are between the age of 18 and 35, you realize that they are a lot younger than some of you are. Now, all our participants, so many of them are looking for mentors and looking for opportunities to grow in terms of their personal life, in terms of their careers and their professions. And we as a team at the RLC are constantly looking for mentors to plug in to this need. That's an excellent opportunity for you. And so if you feel like you'd want to participate as a mentor, that's something else that you could do. Now, the other thing that I would like to plug in is we are just about to start another application cycle. We do 3 application cycles a year. So we recruit for 3 cohorts at a time. And we do only 9 cohorts in a year. So from May 22nd to June the 5th, we'll be opening up applications for the RLC in East Africa. So please, we'll be sending out information on Twitter, on Facebook. We'll circulate it through the YALI network. And so if you'd like and if you could, please pass that information along. We are consistently looking for even more young leaders to come to the center to keep growing. And the last thing I would like to talk about is our online platform, which we call ULearn. Now, ULearn is just an online library. It even includes the Yali network resources. That's specifically for the center and for our participants, for our alums, and for other youth in the region. So on that platform, you'll find different resources that you could use, take, customize, run workshops with. Secondly, we want to introduce in the near future what we are calling communities of practice. Now, these communities of practice, first we'll start off with the RLC alumni. So, and this is basically saying all the people who are interested in this one particular sector, one particular like mini sector or a larger sector, will congregate virtually to just discuss and find out ways to resolve the issues in that sector. Now, we are starting off with the RLC alumni, and we are hoping in the future to extend that to RLC alumni across the continent, which means that we'll connect young people across. But secondly, we'll open that up as well to MWFs. So then we can bring together all the young people, all the young leaders who are under the Yali fraternity onto this platform. And I think that would be all that I would like to share about the RLC. But please, like Denise said, it's just 3 exits up the road. If you have time, well, not today or tomorrow because we're closed, but Monday if you're still around, please just take a visit and we'll be happy to welcome you. I think I forgot one more thing. We are constantly also looking for people who'd like to facilitate, who'd like to give back in terms of service in that way. So if you feel there's some content that you've got that you think could add value to our participants, if you feel you've got the time to come and facilitate some sessions, please also get in touch. But all in all, we are one big happy family. We are happy to host you. We are happy to have you plug in if you can. And I hope you've been convinced at least to visit the center and have a conversation with us. In case you need more information, I'm seeing this is one of our alumni, I forget his name. We've got Ahmed, we've got Emmanuel, we've got Jean-Marc Marcy. So please, they also have a lot more information about the center as well. So thank you.
Thank you, David, and a small apology to the panel. They were expecting a slightly different order, but I think it made sense to talk about the 3 parts of Yali altogether. With that, I am going to jump back to Jenny now, because she is another key piece of what USAID does to support the Regional Leadership Center and your program during the year after you return from the fellowship. So Jenny.
Sure. So as most of you may be aware, USAID provides 1-year follow-on support to all of the fellows after they return to the continent after your time in the US. So you're ending your 1 year right now. Many of you have done practicums, mentorships. The regional conference is something that USAID supports. There are some speaker travel grants. We are incredibly proud of these opportunities that we provide, and we want you to know that just because we will no longer be providing these services after your year is up doesn't mean that we don't want to work with you. It doesn't mean we don't want to hear from you again. And like my colleagues at the State Department, we very much want you to keep in touch with us. We want you to share your stories. We love hearing about you. It also helps us explain to others what the impact of Yali is and really explain how it's transformational. And USAID talks a lot about transformational programming right now. It's something that we are really shooting for just across the agency as a whole, but how do you explain what a transformation is? And what I've learned from being here is that many of your stories are just incredible, and they really get to the heart of what it means to transform a life or transform a community. And that's what many of you are doing in your communities as well. So please keep in touch, share your stories. Another fun thing that we're doing actually today that I wanted to let you know about is Yali is hosting an Instagram takeover. We are taking over USAID's Instagram page for 1 day, today for the conference here, and then also for 1 day during the West and the South Africa conference. And USAID's Instagram page will just be filled with stories of Yali and stories of the fellows and what they're doing. We would love to do more things like that in the future with USAID to get the story of Yali out to our agency constituents. So please share your stories. The other thing I wanted to say is please do keep in touch with the USAID representatives in your country. The question we always get is, do you have funding? Are there grants available for our projects? And I hate to say it, but the answer to that is most likely not. USAID just works in a different way. We are unlikely to, I mean, there are some circumstances, but we're not likely to have funding for you. But that doesn't mean that USAID can't be helpful. We post all of our funding we post all of the grants that are available online, so you can easily look that up yourself. So my suggestion to you is that when you reach out to USAID to meet with them, use it as a networking opportunity. Like, no strings attached, you're just going in for a conversation. Find out what they know about your field, the field you're working in, who's working in it, who are some experts that maybe you might like to meet with, what are some trends that they're seeing from the agency's perspective. And please share your stories with them as well. You all have perspectives into lives in your own country that we really just don't have. And when you tell us your stories, it helps make our programming better, and it helps us understand concepts that we don't necessarily, that are harder to grasp from the mission angle. So just wanted to say, please do come and see what we can share with you in terms of our expertise, and share your stories as well. And then the last thing is just that, just a general kind of call to action. I really do think that the best part of YALI is all of the fellows yourselves. And one of the reasons that we created YALI is really to create these networks amongst yourselves. And you can support each other, you can be mentors to each other, invest in each other's projects if it's something you believe in, and connect your colleagues to your own network. So please, even though, I like to think of that because, you know, a lot of times when you tell people, oh, I'm sorry, we don't have any funding available, they're like, oh, well, what do I do now? But you have 1,000 people in this class alone, plus all of the YALI graduates, and I think that's a fantastic opportunity. And that's it for me.
All right, great. Thanks so much, Jenny. So I hope you're getting the theme, right? Tell us your stories, tell us your stories, tell us your stories. You've got your brothers and sisters, and think of us as your nagging mom who wants to hear from you from time to time, maybe every Sunday, I don't know, with your stories. What are you up to? It really does help, and honestly, it energizes us and keeps us going too. So they're appreciated more than you could know. Also, to Jenny's point, I just want to re-emphasize that we're really happy to help you at USAID and at state too, to help you network, to find technical assistance, to find contacts of other experts working in your field who might be able to help you take your work to the next level. At this mission here in Kenya alone, we've got agriculture experts, economic growth experts, education, health, democracy, governance, and of course, environmental experts as well. So there are lots of folks there who have ideas, experience, expertise, and resources in terms of networks that they are very happy to share with you. So reach out to your local aid mission. If you don't have an aid mission in your country, the regional missions can help. Also, your embassy also has a lot of these experts and these resources for you as well. So don't be strangers, okay? All right. Next, now I'm going to move to Andrew, and I apologize for that audible on you there, Andrew. Andrew is from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and he does have a very exciting opportunity that I myself just learned about.
Yeah, Jumbo. Anybody here like food, like to eat? I do.
Yeah.
I know I do. Maybe a little too much. Yeah, I wanted to come talk to everyone here today. I'm with the Foreign Agricultural Service, which is an agency within USDA. We really focus on 3 pillars: trade promotion, trade policy, and trade capacity building and development. I happen to work in the latter, and I work in the Office of Capacity Building and Development in Washington, D.C. One of the really exciting opportunities that we have actually in the Office of Capacity Building and Development is 2 similar fellowships called the Borlaug and Cochrane Fellowships. Actually, thank you, Mercy. These are 2 fellowships. They're scientific exchange programs that we do with our partner countries to help contact those in their countries who are involved in agriculture and who are leaders in the agriculture industry. The Cochrane program is really focused on identifying needs within each country and then offering trainings for 2 to 3 weeks at universities in the United States. So similar to the Mandela Washington Fellowship, where you came to the United States and studied at a university, this is very similar, except it's focused more really on one topic. The Borlaug Fellowship is also similar in that you would come to the United States and attend a university course, but it's a little bit longer. It's usually 8 and more often about 12 weeks. This is for the sort of more senior researchers, sort of high-end executives of companies who want to come and actually engage in the research that a university is doing. And so it's a little bit longer. It's a little bit more of an intense application process, but it's very rewarding, and it comes with, it's very high profile. I wanted to come and, since you all have been through and now are completing your fellowship here, USDA wants to make itself available and partner with YALI we know how much expertise everyone here has and just how professional and motivated everyone here is, and we really want to have this offering for you as well. So please think about us. We're happy to talk more a little bit about the application process. It's run usually through our missions, and I have to thank Carol, came here on Saturday. Please stand up, comment. Yeah. I profusely apologize to her for, I hope she'll forgive me for having her come in on Saturday. But she'll be happy to talk a little bit more about the application process for anybody here who's interested in it. It is run by our missions almost entirely. They were the ones who sort of identify the needs here in the respective countries that we operate in. And so they are coming up with sort of the ideas for the trainings and interviewing the applicants and everything like that. So we're happy to talk to anybody who would be interested. And yeah, that's pretty much, I'll save the rest for questions. So thank you.
Thank you, Andrew, and thank you to the Department of Agriculture. We also have other colleagues in Department of Commerce and the Justice Department, others who also can be resources for you at posts. So do keep those ideas in mind if that's the kind of area you're looking for. Thank you very much. Last but not least, we have Fungai Pupungu with Career Corps, and I just met you yesterday, but I loved your energy so much in those 2 minutes that I can't wait to hear more about what you have to say.
Welcome. Thank you for inviting me here. My name is Fungai Pupungu, and I've spent 19 years working in the private sector. I've worked 7 years in the USA and 12 years in Africa across varying functions and operations, sales and marketing for a number of companies. But for the past 2 years, what I've enjoyed the most in my professional career has been serving as an executive coach for young fellows like yourself. I think you guys have a tremendous opportunity ahead of you that you take advantage of, beginning in June, ending in December, where all of you have opportunity to get an executive coach that will be with you and coaching you for the next, microphone? You hear me? Is that better? Is that better? Is that better? Right. So basically, all of you have an opportunity to be assigned to a senior executive coach. Now, about coaching, how many of you have been a mentor or have been in a mentorship program? Please raise your hand. It's about 1, 2, about 10 minutes. How many of you have ever had an executive coach? Okay, I see maybe 1, 2 hands. I'm not surprised. The difference between a mentor and a coach is actually very interesting. A mentor is someone who talks with you. It's someone that can be a sounding board. It's someone that basically is a mentor, has similar experiences to you, and can give you advice as a sounding board. However, an executive coach is very different. A coach is someone who is more senior than you and is actually coaching you on a specific action or goal that you create. So in the coaching program that YALI has given to you, you will be given an executive coach that will work with you on the action plan that you create. So the past 3 years, we've coached about every year about 300 fellows, and these fellows have interest in private sector, have interest in working in government, have interest in going to school, getting degrees. It's very specific actions that these fellows want to do, and you basically are assigned a senior coach who will basically have interactions with you online, on WhatsApp or Skype. Sorry. And you're, is that better? Yeah, and you're,
I don't think it's working just yet.
hello?
It's okay for you?
It's okay?
No, I don't think it's going through the system.
I think I can hear it. I think it works. Yeah.
Can you guys hear? Okay.
There we go.
Sorry about that. So can you guys hear me now?
There we go.
Perfect. So basically the coaching program works where is that you will have up to 3 interactions with your executive coach on an online platform where you're basically having calls with your coach on Skype or on WhatsApp, and you're basically working together to basically finalize your specific goal. And you may have asked the past 2 years of this program, what do fellows have used coaching program for? Well, a number of them have used them for tricky situations. So you're having a new business, you're starting, you're an entrepreneur, how to manage the business, how to operate the business, or many of you may want to have a career in the public sector and go to the private sector, or you want to basically pursue a degree or get a promotion. What do you do? Those situations where your coach can help you and give you advice through your phone calls. As well, you may also want to understand, okay, I'm in my current career, I'm not progressing, what should I do? Your coach is there for you to help you with your plan. So basically, you have, for these 6 months, someone who will be aligned to your interests and to your backgrounds to coach you. So for example, I have experience working in the food industry. So the fellows that I've coached the past 2 years are fellows who are working in agriculture or working in food businesses. I have other fellows who actually have experience being entrepreneurs. So they're given coaches who actually are entrepreneurs. So we make sure that the coach that you're given is aligned to your interests and to your passions for Africa. I also find that in this program that the response from fellows has been amazing. I think over the past 2 years, 97% of fellows have said they've been extremely satisfied or satisfied with their coach. So I think for you guys, I know working in the States, I worked there for 7 years on various levels, and I didn't have a senior executive coach. Having a coach is normally regarded for people on senior levels, but you guys are young leaders having an executive coach for you for free. That's a great opportunity. And just to give you an example, we've already sent out the email for fellows to get a coach for this year. In East Africa alone, we had 130 requests for coaching from your region. And we still have conferences in Ghana and South Africa. So we think this year we could have a huge turnout for coaches. So if you haven't got the email yet, please come to me afterwards and I can give you the link to get a coach. But I really would want all of you to take advantage of this resource because I just want to read to you a quote from a fellow who had a coach, which I find very powerful. It is so hard to believe that my coaching experience is coming to an end. This has been one of the most enriching experiences of my life. I've gained so much knowledge and grown in confidence and all thanks to my interactions with my coach. So I think having this resource for all of you is a great tool. Please take advantage of it. Basically, hopefully my talk has piqued your interest and really excited you to get a coach. You have all been sent an email about getting a coach. If you have not, I'll send you the link. The coaching will begin in mid-June, and again, it'll last through December. Now, the great tool about this, and I'm speaking personally for me, we're all here to tell about the network and how networks can help you grow. What I've done the past years of coaching fellows is that I coach my fellows for 6 months, even after the program, on my own time, because I really believe that coaching and mentors is something that you guys should be doing and should be getting throughout your career. I know people who are 60 years old, who are CEOs of companies, and they have coaches, and they have mentors. Mentorship never stops, not when you're 25 or 55 or 75. So please understand the value of having a coach. If you have someone who wants to coach you and mentor you for life, take advantage of that, because it really is helpful.
Yes.
Thank you.
Very well said. Thank you so much. And so I think the overall word is wow. There is a lot there. I hope you will take advantage. The themes I hear are communication and lifelong learning. And that is what we hope we will continue to see from the 2016 Mandela Washington Fellows long into the future. At this time, if anyone's got any questions for anyone on the panel, we'd be happy to take a few. Mr. Runyon.
Hi. This is fun, the U.S. government asking the U.S. government questions. Welcome to government. No. But it was a question for Mickey, but about the Alumni Exchange website. I believe it does also still have a grants database that we have access to on the Alumni Exchange website. So I tell you, sometimes it may be tricky with bandwidth or with internet access to get onto that website, but that website is a goldmine. And we really encourage everybody to make sure you maintain your password because they do expire after a little while, but go on there and access those services. First of all, for a geek like me, there's unlimited access to a huge number of publications which are free to you as a U.S. government alumni. And then a second point is this grants database, which is much broader access to opportunities for funding, for your programs, for your ventures, for other resources like that. And you can search that database to try to find things that are in Africa, that are in environment, that might be working in East Africa, for example. Or you can just be inspired by finding out what else is out there that's available globally and start getting some ideas about proposals or ideas that you might want to build going forward into the future. So I just wanted to emphasize that, and thanks for reaffirming that access on the website is still available. So you should still have emails and information that was provided by the Bureau for Educational and Cultural Affairs from State Department during the YALI Summit back in Washington, but brush off those old messages and check out some of those resources which they advertised to you a year ago.
Great, thank you, Chris.
Could I add something? Okay. Yeah, it's called IEA, International Exchange Alumni, and there's a special section of the website just for Mandela Washington Fellows. But I just found in my paperwork here, it's something like 33 billion with a B, dollars in grant opportunities. So yes, as Chris said, it is very much a gold mine, and go in there and browse and see what you can find. I know when you first got back, it was probably overwhelming the amount of information that you had. So yes, do brush off those old emails, have a look at alumni.state.gov, and it'll direct you to our gold mine.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much. My name is Brenda. I'm from Uganda. And the question I have was actually presented to me by a 2017 fellow. And there's been a bit of anxiety about what the future is for funding opportunities, especially, the U.S. Africa Development Foundation and all these other opportunities that we had a chance to get. But due to change in administration, we understand that some of those opportunities might not be available. We just want clarity on what the future is like.
I guess that would be me then. Okay, as far as funding opportunities in the future and the Mandela Washington Fellowship in the future, 2017, as you know, will be funded. 2018, the program, the Mandela Washington Fellowship program, will still carry on. We're not sure at this point how many fellows there will be, but there will still be a program. 2019, it's still too early to tell. In terms of funding opportunities, what I can say is that the program in all three of its iterations, the regional leadership centers, the network, and the fellowship, enjoys a lot of support in Congress, in the United States, and across the African continent. So I feel pretty good about the chances for future funding. But right now, it's just too early to tell. Any change in administration, it takes a little time to get up to speed and figure out what funding will be a year or two down the road.
I would like to add that at the Regional Leadership Center, we're working hard with our private sector partners to ensure sustainability as well. And then what is sustainability of Yali but you all, right? You are Yali. You're the future of Yali. So I think a lot is to be seen in the months, weeks, and years ahead.
I think just on this last point about your Yali, many of you are in the private sector. Many of you are working for large companies. Many of you have friends or family who are working with private sector partners or with nonprofit organizations or governments that may be very interested in Yali. And I think there are really enormous opportunities to do more with the African private sector. And so it's not as though the African private sector isn't interested in corporate social responsibility work or in recruiting good leaders to join their companies or in being involved in community give-back activities or direct funding and contributions to things like regional leadership centers or the network or other activities like that. So I would just say, let's think of ourselves as fundraisers for Yali because it's going to require a lot of work to make it fully sustainable. Even if U.S. government resources do go down in the years ahead. So I think, please don't think that this isn't a call to action. It is a call to action. And please think about your friends and your networks and the people that you know who might be interested in working with the Regional Leadership Center. They don't need to be in Nairobi. Even in this subregion, we are a 14-country family. And then more broadly, with the network and with the fellowship, we're obviously a continent-wide activity. So
I just want to add in this excellent point, just for example of what he's talking about, the coaching program is fully funded by the chairman of Econet, Strive Masiwa, who's from Zimbabwe. So that's a clear example of an African private sector company funding an African program. So he could not be more correct in that. It is only Americans that can fund this. We can fund this ourselves, and we should be funding this ourselves, because it's our continent. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for adding that. I don't see any other hands. I am a little bit blinded by the light, but oh, one right there. So one last question, I think, and then.
So I want to thank you very much for this information you're giving us toward our development. But one question I would like to ask is, well, we are from Burundi, and sometimes because of what's happening there, some opportunities, we are not profiting from that, and they say Burundi is not eligible. So what you're doing, because for us, it's like we are victim of what's happening, and we are already undergoing some consequences, and then we find for opportunity to get out of that, we are not included, and it's like it's a punishment for us. So will you please see the way you can work with us, though the situation is not very well promising?
I think we're happy to work with everyone in whatever form we can. Sometimes, yes, circumstances and security make that difficult. But, you know, we're living in the golden age of technology, and that is a very good way to stay in touch across continents, across time zones, cultures. So, you know, I know it's not the same thing as having visitors constantly coming through from Washington or being able to take part in the reciprocal exchange. And circumstances sometimes do change, and as I've seen, very rapidly at times. So we can hope for the future and work for that.
I'm afraid that your colleagues from Somalia or South Sudan or other parts of the region may echo some of your concerns. And the beauty of the alumni network is that you have one another, and you have access to the resources that one another does have. And David offered a wonderful opportunity with the RLC alumni chapters as well. I would really like to give a shout out to those of you from Uganda who've been working with your RLC chapter. You really are setting the standard for what needs to happen, what we'd love to see happen more of across the region between the Mandela Washington Fellows and the regional leadership centers. There are lots of energetic, smart, passionate young people in this region, like yourselves, just waiting for you to connect with them and make things even better. So I want to wish you all the best. And I also would like to take a moment to appreciate the fine panel here for their time. Have a great evening. Have a safe trip back home. And remember to write your mom.